Hi, my name's Illy. I'm 34 years old. I'm originally from Durban, and my meeting with Mandela happened back in 1998. I was part of a school choir that was asked to sing for him at his birthday, and it was such an amazing experience. It was a huge event, and afterwards we all got a chance to meet him. As we were filing off stage, he stood there and got to shake our hands as we walked off. It was one of those moments where you look back and you think, what was I thinking? Because all I could mutter when I got to in front of him was "how's it?" And I think it was because I was starstruck, and he's a giant. He was a giant of a man. So stood there in front of him, I felt completely in awe and amazed at this tall gentleman. I got this sense that he was so peaceful, so humble, purposeful, and just when you look at him, it's just absolute peace across his face, and the biggest smile that makes you feel like anything's possible. So it was such an amazing meeting, and it's made such an impact on my life. It's one of those things that will always stay with me as long as I live.
Okay, my name is Lauren de Beer. I am 39 years old, and in 1996, on my birthday, I was working at the Carlton Hotel in Johannesburg. I was sitting at my office, and the next minute there was this huge guy standing in front of me, and he said to me, the president would like to use the telephone. And I looked at him and I thought, well, where's the camera? This is a joke, clearly. And the next minute he stepped aside, and there was Mandela standing in front of me with a big smile on his face. And he asked me why there were flowers on my desk. And I said to him, well, it was my birthday, Mr. President. And he smiled, and he leaned forward and hugged me, and he even planted a kiss on my cheek and wished me happy birthday. And from there on it was chaos, because the word had spread throughout the hotel that he was there, and everybody came and lined up in the passageway that led up to my office, and he greeted every single person, shook their hand, had a word with everybody, and it was just absolutely crazy. In fact, the general manager that I was working for asked Madiba if he could wait for him to go back home to go and fetch his copy of Long Walk to Freedom so that he could sign it. And so Madiba went into the Three Ships restaurant for lunch, and they waited for him to bring his book, and they signed it. It was absolutely an amazing experience. So, yes, no one believed me afterwards when I called them to say he was there, and because we didn't have cell phones in those days, so he had come to the hotel to use the phone, and that's why they brought him through to the general manager's office. So that was in 1996, on my birthday.
Right, hi, my name is Leon Rademeier. I'm the Manager Media Affairs here at Medical Scheme in Pretoria. I met Nelson Mandela quite a few years ago when I was a journalist at Beeld newspaper in Johannesburg. I worked there between 1990 and 1995, which were the transition years in this country. And I remember I was a junior journalist that went with some of the senior political reporters to a press conference. And I was sitting right at the end of the hall, and suddenly Mr. Mandela and his entourage came in. And I remember I got up instinctively and I held out my hand, and he shook it and he said, "How are you?" And I said, "I'm fine, thank you. It's an honor to meet you, sir." And he looked at me and he smiled, and he walked on to the front of the room, and the press conference started. And as we were driving back to the office, I thought to myself, it would have been nice if the photographer could have snapped a picture of myself and Mr. Mandela, but obviously, being a junior reporter, that wasn't the case. The second time I had the privilege of meeting Mr. Mandela was much later, when I worked as the media spokesperson for the University of Pretoria. And Mr. Mandela came to visit the university. That was between 1995 and 2002. And we hosted Mr. Mandela in the Merensky Library at the university. And after the press conference, we were alone with him, myself and the Vice Chancellor and Principal at that stage, who was Professor Johan van Zyl, who is now, I see, the CEO of Sanlam. And Professor van Zyl introduced me to Mr. Mandela and said I was responsible for the for all of this was the words he used. But Mr. Mandela mistook me for the librarian, since we were in a library, and he congratulated me on the state of the library and how well it looked. And I was too awestruck, obviously, to correct him, and I just pretended to be a librarian and said, "It was an honor to meet you, sir," and I shook his hand again. And what I remember is his friendliness, his humility, and his sort of offbeat manner. He looked completely relaxed. And when he spoke to me, even though it was for a couple of seconds, it felt that he concentrated just on me, and he actually cared about me. So it was an occasion I would remember for the rest of my life. And I think those attributes make up part of the whole Madiba magic, as the people call it these days.